right, so back at the Ultimate Windows Security booth at RSA. This time I've got Todd Peterson from Dell. And folks, you probably, I don't know if you've heard Todd before, but you've heard a lot of other Dell people, because Dell and before that Quest have been pretty much our best and biggest sponsor of real training for free. So thanks a lot for that over the years, Todd. But here's what I want to talk to you about. And I'm picking this topic for you because how many security products does Dell have?
Lots.
Yeah.
I mean, Dell kind of has a strategy of baking security into everything we do. So, you know, if you want to be really technical, every laptop, every tablet, every server, you know, every router, every switch has security baked into it. If you want to be, you know, a little more literal on, you know, classic security products, identity management, firewalls, data encryption, there's probably 40 or 50 separate offerings across the whole line, most of them under the Dell software group umbrella.
So if we want to buy a security, we can go to
Yeah, I'm happy to sell you a security.
Right. Okay, but the thing of it is then, and you're the perfect person to expound on this, is do we go after security piecemeal, like here's my risk, I want to solve this problem, or do we build a security stack and think strategically, how are we going to make all these pieces fit together? And then the risk is, time to value and functionality creep, and we never get anything out the door.
I think in a perfect world, you do the latter. You plan it out, you build security from the ground up, everything fits together, everything works great, but we know that never actually happens. So you end up with a piecemeal approach with whatever the fire of the day is, or, BYOD all of a sudden comes up and you didn't even think about that, 12 years ago when client server was your big deal. And so, it's kind of piecemeal is the way it has to go, but if you approach piecemeal with the right strategy, there is going to be something next, and you may not even know what it is. So just make sure that you're, future-looking at everything you do. I think piecemeal can work and kind of give you that plan from the ground up, result without actually having done it.
Because what I fear is management coming and they've read about a breach and they've read what Gartner or whoever is saying, and we need to get control of mobile devices. We don't have a mobile device management. Go get MDM. And so you go and you buy an MDM point solution. You get that in place. Iterate that a few more times, and what you've ended up with is a whole bunch of solutions. Maybe a lot of them really cool, but they were from startups. A lot of them. They've gotten bought by someone else over the years. Who knows what has happened, and do they all talk to each other? Because that's the other thing, Todd, is getting your security products to talk to each other is opening up a whole new world of synergy. So given that you're a company with 40, 50 different security products, you probably have feelings on those issues.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to talk to each other, but, the reality is people are often, you have pressure, you have to solve the problem today, so you're going to go out and, whoever you're hearing the most about to solve that problem is at the top of your list, and maybe you'll implement them, maybe you won't. But, then down the future, the next thing comes up, and that solution's great, but the next thing can't be solved by that solution, so you do it again. So what you end up with is you're defining security and the controls that provide security. So, an identity of a person's authorizations, the way you authenticate, what it means to be somebody. You've defined that in each and every one of those silos, and you probably defined it differently. So then, standards emerge, that if you're able to wait for the standard to, take over, that makes it a little easier. If you only use SAML for authentication, that solves a lot of problems. If you use other standards as the baseline, that's good. But a lot of times the problem can't be solved at that time. So you just need to look for things that are on the cutting edge of standards, but also for a strategy of not reinventing the wheel every time a security issue comes up. You don't want, 12 Randys across 12 different security silos. You want one Randy that's applied 12 times across 12 silos, if that makes sense.
That's ironic, since Dell is your core. Would you say your core security product is your one identity solution?
I would definitely say that.
Yeah. Well, let's come back to that and talk about what is the core of a company's security stack. But I think what you're getting at is that to build a house, you have to put the foundation in first. You cannot say, the biggest thing I need right now is a roof.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back and do the foundation. There's a sequence that you have to build things in. All right, with an IT environment, it's not really the case. You do have the option to say, these are my biggest pain points. I don't have a roof over my head. I know I don't have a great foundation for identity or whatever, but I need to get that roof over my head in terms of two-factor authentication or change auditing, whatever. I can go put that roof in, and I can say I also need this door over here with a lock on it. But, so that's piecemeal. But what you're saying is that what we want to do is be looking towards the future and saying, at the end of the day, we want a house that's all connected to each other and doesn't look like we bought a trailer and then added on a family room and kept going.
Or worst case, you end up with 12 trailers.
Well, that's ugly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, totally. And what I would say that foundation is, as you're putting the roof on, let's say you're just doing your roof, you do have the opportunity at that time to form up the foundation and set it up so that when you put in the walls, when you put in this door, when you add on to the house, that those things can happen easier without re-pouring a new foundation. So, getting that foundation solid, and then, right along with that first big fire that you're putting out, is probably the best approach. And I would say that foundation is what I mentioned earlier: identity, role, authorization, authentication, getting those things set, because if people can't get to the stuff they need to do their jobs, there's no point.
Yeah.
That's why it's there. And security is often viewed as a barrier to people doing their jobs, because it's another person saying no instead of another person saying yes. But if that foundation is right, then the opportunities to say yes go way up, and the opportunities or the temptation to say no unnecessarily has disappeared.
Yeah, well, that's I always go back to we're in business to do business, not to be secure.
Exactly.
Yeah, secure doesn't make money.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm hearing is you're thinking about what we're hearing from a lot of folks is the whole, whether you want to call it dynamic or adaptive security, right? Being able to dynamically say, I need more assurance that this really is Bob, right?
Yeah. And if you think about the way security is normally implemented in a siloed approach, there's you're on-prem, you're using a company-controlled device, there's a set of rules. You follow those rules, you're allowed to get to something. So you go off-prem, they've established another set of rules for that. And you follow those rules, you're allowed, you're using a mobile device, different set of rules. Data encryption's involved, different set of rules. You're coming from a IP that's unknown to the organization, a different set of rules. So each of those can return a yes or no decision. If any one of those 5 things returns a no, the answer is no, even though I may legitimately be doing things that's going to be absolutely secure, but one says no. But what if you take into account the context, who, what, when, where, why, how, and past history, to make a dynamic decision in real time that says, okay, I know who you are, I know where you are, I don't know your device, but I know that your history means that you come in from a device like this one, and so I'm going to allow you in. So you can kind of take into account the varying strengths of the yes and no decisions to return an accurate decision that changes in real time depending on the situation. That's, I think, the nirvana of security.
So going back to the building out your security stack and piecemeal and looking towards the future and so on, what do we get if we make a commitment to Dell in terms of, I have to have a lot of worry. My supply management people have worry every time I bring another vendor, another partner on board. All right, how healthy are they? Are they going to be in business? What's their commitment to support, and so on? So, I mean, what's codified in terms of, if we come to Dell and say, if possible, we're going to try to get are different pieces of security from Dell.
Right. Well, obviously we would like that, but the advantage is Dell is a very mature, very stable company that's not going anywhere. It has a long legacy of very happy customers, good customer service, excellent support, and each of the acquisitions that they've made have been of companies with an equal, to a lesser degree, but an equal reputation. So they acquired Quest, which is where I came from. Quest has some of the industry-leading customer satisfaction numbers on the software side. The security software, the identity and access management stuff, is the leading, satisfaction among the Quest users. So all of these things come into play that, you're going to eventually have to buy a firewall if you don't already have one, or you maybe have to upgrade your firewall. You're going to have to buy something for identity and access management, something for privilege management, something for authentication. You'll probably eventually need a data encryption type solution. You're going to need security baked into your servers and your laptops and your tablets and your desktop computers. If that all comes from the same place that is not going anywhere, that you already trust, that you can continue to trust, that really alleviates a lot of the danger, a lot of the risk, and a lot of the worry of, okay, am I really going to be secure next year with this decision I made today? With Dell, we feel, and I think that history proves it out, that you're set for years and years and years and years, at least from a peace of mind standpoint.
Well, it is. I'm always amazed. I can never keep track of all the different security solutions that you have, and you're starting to make them talk to each other more.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's important, and that's something maybe that I had wished for more in former days, and I'm seeing more now. So that's good.
Well, for example, a lot of our authentication solutions, so our multi-factor authentication, our federation solution, are beginning to be reused by other Dell technologies. So the Dell Case MDM solution uses our single sign-on federation. The Dell Sonic Wall firewalls use our multi-factor authentication. Other offerings, the Dell offering for medical organizations uses our single sign-on solution. So there's a lot of places where this 1 + 1 = 3 can come to pass because it's all offered by the same organization.
And that's what I would want and expect if I'm going to make a commitment and say, all right, I'm not just going to automatically go out there and get the cheapest, newest, and best of breed solution for each piece of the puzzle. And I want that synergistic benefit of going with a vendor. If I'm going to go with one vendor, then I'm hoping for that synergy among the products. The more of their products I use, the more of that 1 + 1 = 3.
And the trends continue, where I mentioned earlier that adaptive, context-aware security thing. Right now that involves a few of our identity and access management solutions and our firewalls and the SecureWorks whitelist flash stuff. In the future, that can expand to where the firewall is actually enforcing, not just helping make the decision, where an encryption solution from Dell is enforcing in addition to the other things to make a decision, and then it can go anywhere. And then when we build an API into it, then it can actually go to beyond Dell, and you can build your own contributing piece to that context-aware thing. So we're excited about that, but it all comes down to it's one big, stable, strong company that provides it.
Well, cool. Folks, normally you're used to seeing me or at least listening to me more, but this is an opportunity I get to talk to the people like Todd that make all the real training for free webinars possible. And I said, let's just talk about their products a little bit. So thank you. Thanks for all the great webinars that you've sponsored over the years. We get lots of people that come up and say, I go to every single one of your webinars, and when we need answers, especially on the Windows Security Log, they come here. But you guys are the ones that make that possible, so thanks.
Well, and thanks for allowing us to do it. We find a lot of value in it as well.
All right. Well, take care.